This guy was absolutely perfect on paper, tall, handsome, successful. But he had a weird obsession with his own genetics and looked down on mine because of my family's health history. I thought it was just arrogance until I found the protection box hidden in the bathroom and realized every single one had been tampered with. When I confronted him, his excuse was absolutely unhinged. You won't believe the lengths this man went just to force his legacy on me. This is the story of how I escaped a genetic savior. It is hard to say exactly when things started to feel wrong, but looking back, the signs were always there. I was dating a guy named Brad, and honestly, everyone thought he was perfect. He was super tall, had these bright blue eyes, and spent a lot of time at the gym. He looked like the kind of guy who would be on the cover of a magazine. For a while, I thought I was the lucky one. I mean, here was this guy who seemed to have it all, and he picked me. But there was always this weird thing he did. He talked about himself a lot. Not just bragging about his job or his car, but about his body. He was obsessed with his genes. He would talk about how his family had no history of being sick, how strong his dad was, and how everyone in his family lived to be really old. It was okay at first, just kind of annoying, but then he started comparing his family to mine. My family is the total opposite. We have really bad luck with health. My mom had cancer, my dad has heart problems, and almost everyone in my family gets diabetes or some other bad thing. It is scary. Because of this, I have always been super careful about my health. I go to the doctor a lot, I try to eat right, and I worry about the future. I told Brad this early on. I told him that because my genes are so bad, I was scared to have kids. I didn't want to pass all that sickness onto a baby. It wouldn't be fair. At the time, Brad just nodded. He acted like he understood. But looking back, he had this look in his eyes like he knew something I didn't. He started making jokes about it. He would say things like, "Don't worry, babe, my genes are strong enough for both of us." I laughed it off because I thought he was just trying to make me feel better. I didn't know he literally meant he thought he was some kind of superhero who could fix me. We had been living together for a few months when the topic of kids came up again. I was serious this time. I sat him down and said, "Look, I really don't think I want biological kids. Maybe we can adopt, or just not have them?" I listed all the diseases in my family again. I was almost crying because it is a hard thing to say out loud. I felt broken. Brad just smiled that same smile. He grabbed my hand and said, "You are overthinking it. My family is pure. We are tall, strong, and smart. If we have a baby, it will be like me. It will wash out all the bad stuff from your side." I pulled my hand away. It felt gross to hear him talk like that, like I was some kind of dirty thing that needed to be cleaned up by his magic DNA. I told him, "That is not how science works, Brad. You can't just wash out cancer risks." He shrugged and dropped it, or so I thought. He started acting really sweet after that, bringing me flowers and cooking dinner. I thought maybe he accepted my choice. Then came the day that changed everything. It was a Tuesday. I had the day off and decided to do a deep clean of the apartment. Brad was at work. I was organizing the bathroom cabinets, throwing away old lotion bottles and expired medicine. I got to the drawer where we kept our stuff. You know, the private stuff. The box of condoms was there. It was a new box. We had just bought it a week ago. The box looked a little beat up, like it had been crushed in a bag, but I didn't think much of it. I went to move it to the side to wipe the drawer, and the lid popped open. I went to close it, but something caught my eye. The little foil wrappers inside looked messy. Usually they are all lined up neat and flat. These were jumbled. I picked one up. It felt weird, not smooth. I looked closer under the bright bathroom light. There was a tiny prick in the center of the wrapper, like someone had poked it with a needle. My stomach dropped. It felt like I was on an elevator going down really fast. I thought, no way, I am seeing things. I grabbed another one, same thing, a tiny, almost invisible hole right in the middle. My hands started shaking. I took the whole box and dumped it onto the sink counter. I checked every single one. There were 12 in the box. All of them had holes. Every single one. I felt like I was going to throw up. I needed to be 100% sure. I didn't want to accuse him of something this crazy if I was wrong. So, I took one of the wrappers and opened it. I took the condom out. I walked over to the sink and filled it with water. Sure enough, a tiny stream of water shot out the side. It was like a leak in a water balloon. I sat on the edge of the tub and just stared at the water leaking into the drain. My brain couldn't process it. Why would he do this? We agreed. I told him no kids. He was trying to trap me. He was trying to force me to get pregnant against my will. It wasn't an accident. It was a plan. He had to sit there with a pin or a needle and poke every single one. That takes time. He had to think about it while he was doing it. I felt so violated. It is hard to explain the feeling. It wasn't just that he lied. It was that he was trying to change my whole life, my body, and my future without asking me. He wanted to put a baby in me that I was scared to have. He didn't care about my fears. He didn't care about the cancer or the diabetes. He only cared about his legacy. I stayed in the bathroom for a long time. I heard the front door unlock. Brad was home early. Usually I run to say hi. This time I didn't move. I heard him drop his keys. "Babe, you home?" he called out. His voice sounded so normal. That was the scary part. He sounded like the same guy I loved yesterday, but now I knew he was a monster. "I'm in the bathroom," I said. My voice sounded flat and cold. He walked in, smiling. "Hey, I got off ear." He stopped. He saw the condoms all over the counter. He saw the one in the sink. He saw my face. Most people, if they get caught doing something bad, they look guilty. They look scared. Brad didn't. He looked annoyed. Like I had found a birthday present early and ruined the surprise. "What is this?" I asked. I held up one of the wrappers with the hole. He sighed. He actually rolled his eyes. "You weren't supposed to see that." "You poked holes in them," I said. It wasn't a question. "You are trying to get me pregnant." He leaned against the door frame and crossed his arms. He looked so casual. "I'm doing you a favor, babe. You are so scared for no reason. I told you, my genes are superior. Once we have a kid and you see how perfect it is, you will thank me. I am fixing the problem." I stared at him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Fixing the problem? I am the problem." "Your fear is the problem," he said, like he was explaining something to a child. "You have bad genetics. I have great genetics. I am doing the world a favor by making sure my line continues, and I am doing you a favor by giving you a healthy baby. You just need a little push." I stood up. I was shaking so hard I could barely stand. "You are crazy," I whispered. "This is evil. You don't get to decide that for me." He laughed, a short, dry laugh. "Don't be dramatic. We are a couple. We make decisions together. But you were being stubborn. I took charge. That is what a man does." "That is what a psycho does," I yelled. I grabbed the box of ruined condoms and threw it at his chest. It bounced off him harmlessly, but it made him step back. "I am leaving." I pushed past him to get to the bedroom. I needed my bag. I needed to get out of there. He followed me, but he wasn't running. He was just walking slow, confident. "You aren't going anywhere," he said. "Come on, stop acting like this. So what? We have a baby. It happens to people all the time." I was throwing clothes into a duffel bag. My hands were fumbling with the zippers. It happens by accident, Brad, or because people want it. Not because one person tricks the other person. "It's not a trick," he said, his voice getting a little louder. "It is a strategy. You have low-quality DNA. I am offering you high-quality DNA. You should be happy I want to mix with you at all. Most guys wouldn't want to risk their kids being short or sick." I froze. I looked at him. He really believed it. He thought he was a prize. He thought he was doing charity work by dating me. It made me feel sick to my stomach. I realized then that he never loved me. He just wanted an incubator. He wanted someone to carry his perfect baby, and he picked me because he thought I was weak enough to control. "I am leaving," I said again. I zipped the bag. "Do not touch me." I walked toward the door. For a second, I thought he was going to grab me. He stood in the hallway, blocking the exit. He was big, much bigger than me. I gripped my keys in my hand, putting one key between my fingers like a weapon, just in case. "Move," I said. He stared at me for a long, uncomfortable minute. Then he stepped aside. "Fine, go, you will be back. You will realize you are overreacting. You need me." I didn't answer. I ran out the door, down the stairs, and into my car. I locked the doors immediately. I sat there for a second, checking the rearview mirror to see if he followed me. The front door of our building didn't open. He was just letting me go because he was so arrogant he thought I would come crawling back. I drove straight to my sister Sarah's house. She lives about 30 minutes away. I called her on the way, sobbing so hard she could barely understand me. "He poked holes in them, Sarah," I kept saying. "He poked holes in them." When I got to her place, she was waiting in the driveway. She hugged me and I just collapsed. We went inside and I told her everything. The good genes comments, the arrogance, the box in the bathroom. Sarah was furious. She has a temper, and I thought she was going to drive over there and beat him up. That is assault, she said. That is literally a crime. He tried to force a medical condition on you. Pregnancy is a medical condition. She made me tea and we sat on her couch. I turned off my phone because Brad had already started texting me. I saw the first preview on my screen before I shut it down. It said, "You are being childish. Come home and let's talk about our future." I can't go back there, I told Sarah. I can't ever go back. You are staying here, she said firmly. We will get your stuff later. We will bring Dad or the police if we have to. You are done with him. I slept on her couch that night, but I didn't really sleep. I kept having nightmares about babies with blue eyes staring at me and water leaking from balloons. I felt dirty. I felt stupid for not seeing it sooner. How could I live with someone and not know he was this crazy? The next morning, I turned my phone back on. It exploded with notifications. 50 texts, 20 missed calls, all from Brad, and then some from his friends, and one from his mom. I opened Brad's texts first. They started out nice. "Babe, please come back. I made dinner. I am sorry I scared you." But then, as the night went on and I didn't reply, they got mean. "You are being ungrateful. You are lucky I chose you. My genes are a gift, you idiot. You can't leave me, you are mine." The last text was sent at 4:00 a.m. It was just a picture. It was a picture of our bed, empty, with the caption, "Waiting for the mother of my children." It sent a chill down my spine. He wasn't giving up, he was obsessed. I showed Sarah the texts. She looked pale. "Okay," she said, "this is stalker-level stuff, we need to be careful." I decided I needed to tell someone else. I have a best friend named Jen. She is really smart and usually knows what to do. I called her. She listened to the whole story without interrupting. When I finished, there was a long silence. "You need to get a restraining order," Jen said. "I am not kidding. This guy thinks he owns you. The good genes thing, that sounds like some weird cult stuff or like eugenics. It is scary." "I know," I said. "He thinks he is a god." "He is a narcissist," Jen corrected. "And a dangerous one. Did you ever take a pregnancy test? Just to be sure." My heart stopped. In all the panic, I hadn't thought about that. We had been using those condoms for a week. What if one of them worked? What if his strategy had already succeeded? "No," I whispered. "I need to go to the store." Sarah drove me to the pharmacy. I bought 3 different brands of tests. I felt like everyone in the store was staring at me, like they knew I was the girl running away from the crazy gene guy. We went back to Sarah's house. I went to the bathroom. Those 3 minutes waiting for the stick to change were the longest minutes of my life. I prayed. I promised the universe I would never be so blind again if it just came back negative. One line, negative. I checked the second one, negative. The third one, negative. I fell to the floor and cried. Not sad tears, but happy ones. I was safe. His super seed hadn't worked. I was free. But the drama wasn't over. Brad wasn't going to let me go that easily. Later that day, there was a knock at Sarah's door. We looked through the peephole. It wasn't Brad. It was his best friend, Mike. Sarah opened the door but kept the chain on. "What do you want, Mike?" she asked aggressively. "Is she here?" Mike asked. He looked uncomfortable. "Look, Brad is really worried. He says she had a mental breakdown or something. He says she started screaming about water balloons and ran off." I stepped into the hallway so he could see me. "I didn't have a breakdown, Mike. He poked holes in our condoms. He admitted it to my face. He told me he was trying to fix my bad genes with his perfect ones." Mike's face dropped. His jaw literally hung open. He looked from me to Sarah and back. "Wait, seriously? He told me you guys were trying and you got scared cold feet." "He is lying," I said. "He is a psycho. Tell him to leave me alone or I am calling the cops." Mike rubbed the back of his neck. "Dude, that is messed up. I saw him with a sewing kit the other day and I thought he was fixing a button. I didn't. Oh God." Mike left, looking sick. I hoped that would be the end of it, but Brad was just getting started. He started posting on social media. Not saying my name, but writing these long, crazy posts about ungrateful women and the decline of the human race because people with superior genetics aren't being allowed to breed. It was humiliating. People knew he was talking about me. Then he showed up at my work. I work at a small office. I was sitting at my desk when the receptionist called me. "Brad is here," she whispered. "He has flowers. He says he needs to explain the misunderstanding." I told her to call security. I hid under my desk. I am not kidding. I was a 26-year-old woman hiding under a desk because I was so afraid of this guy and his ego. I could hear him raising his voice in the lobby. "I just want to talk to her. She doesn't understand. I am doing this for us," he was yelling. Security escorted him out. I was shaking. My boss was really cool about it. He told me to go home and take a few days off. I knew I had to go back to the apartment eventually to get the rest of my things, but I was terrified. Sarah called her boyfriend, Tom, who is a big guy. He plays rugby. We made a plan. We would go when we knew Brad was at the gym. He never skips the gym because, he has to maintain his perfect body. We took Sarah's truck. We pulled up to the apartment. My heart was pounding. I used my key. The apartment was a mess. There were dishes everywhere. It looked like he hadn't cleaned since I left. We started grabbing boxes. I just threw everything in. Clothes, shoes, my laptop. I didn't care about the furniture. I just wanted my personal stuff. We were almost done when the door opened. Brad stood there. He was wearing his gym clothes. He looked sweaty and angry. He saw Tom and stopped. Tom is bigger than Brad. Brad isn't used to being the small guy in the room. "What are you doing?" Brad asked. He looked at me, ignoring Tom. "You can't just take stuff. We need to talk." "There is no talking," I said from behind Tom. "I am moving out. We are done." "You are making a mistake," Brad said. He took a step forward. Tom stepped in front of him. "Back off, man," Tom said. His voice was deep and scary. "Let her get her stuff." Brad glared at Tom, then looked at me with this look of pure disgust. "Fine, go, run away. Go have your sick, short, weak babies with someone else. You are wasting my potential anyway. I need someone who appreciates what I bring to the table." "Your potential?" I laughed. I couldn't help it. It was so absurd. "You are alone in a messy apartment poking holes in rubber. That is your potential." He turned red. "Get out," he screamed. "Get out before I change my mind and make you stay." Tom laughed at that. "Make her stay, try it." Brad didn't move. We grabbed the last box and walked out. He slammed the door behind us so hard the frame rattled. As we drove away, I felt a huge weight lift off my chest. It was over. I blocked him on everything. I blocked his mom. I blocked his friends, except Mike, who apologized again and said he wasn't talking to Brad anymore. It has been a few months now. I am still staying with Sarah until I find a new place. I heard from a mutual friend that Brad is already dating someone new, a really young girl. I feel bad for her. I hope she checks the condoms. I still have trust issues. Every time I see a guy who is too into himself, I get a flashback of Brad leaning against the doorframe talking about his DNA. It is going to take a long time to get over this, but at least I am safe. At least I am not carrying the baby of a megalomaniac who thinks he is a gift to humanity. My genes might be bad according to him, but at least my brain works properly. I would rather be short and prone to diabetes than be a tall, blue-eyed psychopath. I think I dodged a bullet. Actually, I dodged a nuclear missile. It took me 6 months to even look at another guy without feeling like I needed to run away. Sarah kept telling me I needed to get back out there, that not every man is a science experiment gone wrong, but I was terrified. I felt like I was walking around with a sign on my forehead that said "Target for crazies." I spent my weekends watching movies with my sister and avoiding any place where guys like Brad hung out. No gyms, no smoothie bars, no places with mirrors on every wall. But eventually, Sarah wore me down. She invited me to a barbecue at her friend's house. She promised there would be no alpha males there, just normal people eating burgers and talking about boring stuff like taxes and lawns. I agreed to go, mostly because I was sick of hiding in her guest room. That was where I met Leo. Leo was nothing like Brad. For one thing, he wasn't 6'5" with muscles that looked like they were carved out of rock. He was average height, kind of skinny, and had messy hair. He was wearing a t-shirt with a cartoon dog on it. When I first saw him, he was struggling to open a bag of chips. Brad would have ripped the bag open with his teeth and flexed. Leo just laughed and asked someone for scissors. We started talking near the cooler. I was stiff at first, waiting for him to start bragging. I was waiting for him to tell me about his salary, or his car, or how many miles he ran that morning. But he didn't. He asked me if I liked the potato salad. Then he asked me what books I was reading. We talked for 2 hours. It was weirdly easy. He was funny, but not in a mean way. He made fun of himself. He told me he was allergic to cats and that he was afraid of thunder. I stared at him. Brad never admitted fear. Brad claimed fear was a biological error. Here was Leo, admitting he hid under blankets during storms, and he didn't care if it made him look weak. I agreed to go on a date with him a week later. We went to a pizza place. I was so nervous I almost canceled 3 times. I sat across from him, picking at my napkin. I knew I had to tell him. I had this voice in my head saying that I needed to warn him about my defective self before he got too attached. It was like Brad's voice was still stuck in my ear. "Hey," Leo said, noticing I was quiet. "You okay? We can leave if you want. No pressure." "No, I'm okay," I said. I took a deep breath. I have to tell you something. I have a really bad family history. Health-wise, cancer, heart stuff, diabetes, it is a mess. My genes are basically a dumpster fire." I waited for him to cringe. I waited for him to start talking about his own superior family, or to offer to fix me, or to make a joke about how I was broken. I squeezed my eyes shut for a second, bracing myself for the rejection. "Okay," Leo said. I opened my eyes. He was just taking a bite of pepperoni pizza. He chewed, swallowed, and wiped his mouth. "Okay," I repeated. "Did you hear me? I am a walking medical bill waiting to happen." Leo shrugged. "My grandpa had Alzheimer's and my mom has bad knees. Humans are messy, right? We break. That is why we have doctors." He didn't look scared. He didn't look disgusted. He didn't look like he was calculating the risk to his future offspring. He just looked at me like I was a person. "But what if we get serious?" I asked, pushing it. I needed to know. "What if, kids, I don't want to pass this stuff on." I told my ex that, and he tried to force it on me because he thought he was Superman. Leo put his pizza down. His face got serious. "Whoa, your ex sounds like a nightmare. Look, if we get serious and if we want kids, we figure it out. Adoption, surrogacy, no kids, whatever. It is a partnership. I'm dating you, not your DNA sequence." I felt tears prick my eyes. It was such a simple thing to say, but it hit me hard. I am dating you, not your DNA sequence. "You don't care about your legacy?" I asked, wiping a tear away before it could fall. "You don't want to spread your seed or whatever." Leo laughed so hard he almost choked on his soda. "My legacy? I am an accountant who likes video games and cartoons. I think the world will survive if my specific nose shape doesn't get passed down to the next generation. I just want to be happy, and I think you are really cool." That was the moment the spell broke. The ghost of Brad finally left the building. I realized that what I had with Brad wasn't a relationship, it was an experiment. He viewed me as a lab rat. Leo viewed me as a human being. We are still together. It has been a year. It is the most boring, normal, wonderful relationship ever. We don't talk about genes. We don't talk about superior breeding. We talk about what movie to watch and whose turn it is to do the dishes. Sometimes I look at Leo and think about how Brad would call him low potential. Brad would say Leo isn't strong enough or alpha enough, but Leo holds my hand when I get scared at the doctor's office. Leo listens when I cry. Leo respects my no. If that isn't good genes, I don't know what is. I found out later that Brad's new girlfriend, the young one, broke up with him after a month. Rumor has it she found him measuring her head circumference while she was sleeping to check her cranial capacity. I laughed for 10 minutes when I heard that. I am safe now. I am happy. And we use protection that we buy together, and we keep the box in the nightstand where we can both see it, and nobody pokes holes in anything. It turns out, finding someone better wasn't about finding someone richer or hotter. It was just about finding someone who wasn't a total villain, and I think I hit the jackpot. So that is my whole story. I went from dating a guy who treated me like a broken breeding machine to a guy who actually treats me like a human being. It was a total nightmare, but I learned a huge lesson. Good genes don't mean anything if you have a rotten personality. Brad might live to be 100 years old with his perfect DNA and his gym muscles, but he will probably do it alone. Me, I might have some health issues down the road, but I won't be lonely. I have Leo, I have Sarah, and I have my freedom. And most importantly, I have a box of safety that nobody has poked with a needle. If you enjoyed this wild ride of genetic narcissism and sweet revenge, please make sure to hit that like